Disclaimer: the following content is entirely fictional and does not represent real events or people. This material has been edited and adapted from the channel Romance Reverie. Emily Faye Mickelson, the spirited sister of Alpha Mickelson from the Silver Moon Pack, discovers her mate shortly after her first shift, only to be heartbroken when she learns he is already dating her best friend, Ashley. Struggling with this emotional turmoil, Emily must navigate her feelings while preparing for a meeting with the pack leaders at the majestic kingdom of all werewolves, a place she has always wanted to visit. During the meeting, she meets a charismatic alpha named Noah, who seems genuinely interested in her and engages her in light-hearted conversation. But Emily is left in the dark about which pack he belongs to, adding to her intrigue. In the bustling town of Willow Creek, the full moon cast its luminous glow over the Silver Moon Pack. As the air hung with anticipation, the young wolves were about to embark on a journey that would change their lives forever. I, Emily Faye Mickelson, the Alpha's younger sister, sat nervously fidgeting with my silver-studded belt buckle. My brother, Liam Ezra Mickelson, Alpha Mickelson to everyone else, stood beside me, his broad shoulders and piercing blue eyes commanding respect. Emmy time is almost upon us, little sister, Liam said, his deep voice soothing. Remember, your mate is out there, waiting for you. Trust in the moon goddess, she will guide you. And trust in yourself. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. I have heard stories of the magical mate bond. When a werewolf turns 18, their wolves would guide them to their fated mates given they were close by. The excitement was both exhilarating and terrifying to know if my fated mate would be in this pack. Lucas is here, Liam announced, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on Lucas Axel, the pack's beta. Lucas flashed a reassuring smile as he made his way towards us. Emily, Lucas said, his deep voice filled with warmth. You ready for this, Emily? I nodded, trying to appear braver than I felt. Lucas wrapped his arm around my shoulders, offering a reassuring squeeze. As our group of young wolves, including myself, Ashley Jefferson, Emily's best friend and Lucas' girlfriend, Mason Gideon Jenkins Gammer and friend of the Beta and Alpha, and others, gathered in the clearing. Liam stood at the center, his pack leaders, Lucas and Mason, by his side. It is believed that the moon goddess looked down upon the gathering, as if watching over her people. As the clock struck midnight, the clearing fell silent. The moon reached its peak, casting an eerie glow over the gathering. Suddenly, the air was charged with electricity. The pack's young wolves closed their eyes, and the shift had began. A faint hum, like a gentle buzzing, filled the room. I felt the energy coursing through my veins, calling out to me on a deeper level. I had started to feel immense pain shoot through my body as my bones had started to break and reshape, forming into my wolf as fast as the pain came. It left, and in my place stood tall, a majestic silver she-wolf with electric green eyes. My eyes snapped open as a vision took shape before me. A pair of piercing blue eyes stared back at me, filled with warmth and kindness. A strong jawline, chiseled features, and a mop of dark hair. My heart skipped a beat as I realized I had seen my mate's face. Lucas was the first to notice the change in my expression. "Mate," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Lucas' eyes widened, and he exchanged a glance with Liam. Let's get this right. Emily. Liam said. Tell us his name. Axel. I replied. My voice came out in only a whisper. Lucas' eyes stared right into me as he whispered the word mate. Ashley. Always perceptive. I noticed the change in my demeanor. You okay? She asked. Concern etched on her features. I nodded. A mix of emotions swirling within me. I just found my mate. Ashley. And he's standing right in front of me. I whispered. Not moving an inch, we both stare into each other's eyes as the rest keep talking amongst themselves. Ashley had soon broken me out of my daze as she announced her big news to the group. Lucas and I have decided to move in together. This immediately snapped us both back to reality, where Lucas was in a serious relationship with my best friend. As the group continued to congratulate them, I was quite thinking to myself, how would this play out? Will he accept me and break my best friend's heart, or would he reject me for her? My wolf Arya, whom I had just spoken to for the first time, had started to pace in my mind, uneasy about the situation we find ourselves in. Liam soon broke up the group by calling it a night. As everyone took off in the direction of the pack house, I trailed behind everyone, thinking of what a mess has fallen over me. As I made it back to my room to shower and get ready for bed, I heard a quiet knock at the door. Opening the door, I came face to face with my mate. I just stood there not saying anything as he stepped in and closed the door slowly. Emily, we should talk, he said. I quietly asked, what about? If only I had known the next words would be the ones I never wanted to hear. Emily. I'm honored to be your mate. The moon goddess surely knows what she's doing. But I'm still with Ashley. I fear I'll need some time to let her down gently, and tell her I've found my mate. As Lucas spoke, I could only nod. For all my thoughts had tangled together, rendering me speechless. I glanced up into his piercing blue eyes, reflecting warmth like the forest's calm. He moved closer, wrapping his arms around me. And instantly, the sparks ignited between us. It felt exciting, intoxicating, like the first sip of fresh mountain air after a long climb. I inhaled his scent of cedar and morning dew, feeling wrapped in a sense of safety I had never known. But reality crashed in as Lucas' next words echoed out. I should get back. Ashley might come looking for me. A wave of frustration washed over me. I wanted to voice my feelings, to tell him how this was all too complicated. But I remained silent. Breaking my best friend's heart felt wrong. And I knew I had to respect Lucas' commitment, even if my heart screamed otherwise. Yeah. You should go. I finally managed, trying to sound supportive, even if my insides were twisting painfully. After he left, the chaos of thoughts flooded back. I showered quickly, the cool water dulling my frustration. As I slipped into bed, sleep escaped me. Images of Lucas and Ashley seemed to play on repeat in my mind. And I found myself talking to my wolf. Arya. We need to think. Arya. What do we do? We wait. Emily. The moon goddess has a plan. We need to discover it. Arya replied softly, soothing the ache in my heart. Lucas' point of view. Returning to the room, I felt a whirlwind of emotions. I couldn't believe the moon goddess had paired me with Emily. She was sweet, kind-hearted, and destined to be a great beta female. But my thoughts were disrupted by Ashley's suddenly sharp voice. "Where were you?" she asked, suspicion lacing her tone. I went to have a quick briefing with Alpha Mickelson." I answered before my mind could better shape my words. I could feel a gentle resentment bloom within me. Why did I have to maintain this facade? "I see," Ashley replied. But I could hear the undertone of doubt as she settled into bed. As dawn broke, I knew I couldn't delay the inevitable. I had to find a way to tell Ashley that we wouldn't be together anymore. Not after finding my true mate. Over breakfast, an uncomfortable silence hung between us. Until Emily walked in, looking stunning in a cozy yet flattering sweater that made my heart race. "Good morning, everyone," she chirped, brightening the room and lifting the weight bringing me down. Ashley, catching sight of her, clapped her hands excitedly. "Babe, we're going out tonight to celebrate Emily shifting and finding her mate. Isn't this amazing?" The room froze momentarily, and my heart sank. Emily's eyes sparkled, but worry flickered in her gaze. "You all will know soon enough," she said diplomatically. "We're still figuring everything out. You know." Ashley beamed, oblivious to the tension. "I can't wait to party it up. It'll be a night to remember." As soon as breakfast wrapped up, the day stretched on like a never-ending chord, each tick of time echoing my anxiety. I found myself waiting with Liam and Mason, anticipation bubbling beneath the surface. When the girls finally joined us, my breath hitched at the sight of Emily, slipping into a form-fitting dress that highlighted her silhouette perfectly. "Man, why on earth would you want to stick with Ashley?" Mason laughed, nudging me. "You've got a mate waiting out there, and you're still tied down." I was about to respond when the words caught in my throat, as I watched Emily smile and chat with Ashley. Damn. My heart raced far too fast. "Babe, how do I look?" Ashley chimed in, her confidence unwavering. While she knew she looked good, I couldn't help but think she couldn't hold a candle to Emily's natural allure. I forced a smile. You look good." It felt hollow compared to what I felt for Emily, but I swallowed the thought. The car ride to OZ felt like it lasted an eternity. I barely registered the chatter around me, my thoughts swirling only around Emily. "Mason, you've got shotgun," Liam called out, and I internally groaned, hoping against hope that Ashley wouldn't sit directly next to me. Of course, she did. "I want to sit next to Emily and you," she declared, causing a little war inside of me. I sat in the back with the girls, my girlfriend and the girl who was my true mate. As we finally pulled up to OZ, the vibrant lights and booming music sent an electric charge shivering through my body. "Let's go have some fun," Ashley exclaimed, practically jumping out of the car. I glanced back at Emily, her eyes shimmering with excitement, and I felt the first real hint of resolve inside me. Tonight would change everything. But how? I had no idea. Emily's point of view. I stepped into the vibrant club. The booming music and flashing lights immediately pull me in an electric atmosphere. The air was alive and buzzing with the hum of excitement as the young wolves danced and laughed together. My eyes scanned the crowded dance floor, searching for familiar faces. Ashley was quick to join in and was somewhere out there, lost in the rhythm of the music. As I walked through the crowd of people, I spotted the VIP section, courtesy of Ryder Watkins, the club's owner and a pack member. I took my seat as the guys went off to the bar, my gaze drifting back to the dance floor for a quick glance. Ashley was still dancing, oblivious to the commotion around her. I soon felt a spark on my shoulder when I turned. Lucas leaned in, his voice low. The guys are busy talking to another alpha. They'll probably be a while. As for Ashley, she's been dancing and enjoying herself. Let's get a few moments to ourselves. Before I could protest, Lucas slipped his arm around my waist and steered me toward the back of the club. I felt a flutter in my chest as he pulled me into the shadows, but I tried to brush it off as mere excitement. "What's going on?" I asked, my voice barely audible over the music. "I want some time alone with you," Lucas whispered, his breath tickling my ear. I hesitated, unsure about what was happening. Lucas had never made a move before, and I wasn't sure how to react. But as he led me through the dark corridors of the club, I found myself wanting to be alone with him. Finally, we reached the back door, and Lucas pushed it open with a force. We stepped into a private room, dimly lit and quiet after the chaos of the club. The door creaked shut behind us, leaving us alone in the silence. Lucas turned to me, his eyes burning with intensity. I felt a jolt of electricity as he stepped closer, his body brushing against mine. I tried to step back, but my feet seemed to be rooted to the spot. Lucas' lips descended upon mine, and I felt a spark ignite within me. I was caught up in the moment, my body responding to his without my consent. It was like a dam had burst within me, and emotions I had been holding back since I found out we are mates came flooding out. I lost myself in the kiss, my mind spinning out of control. Time seemed to fly by, and before I knew it, we were lost in a frenzy of passion and desire. I was vaguely aware of Lucas' hands on my skin, his fingers tracing the contours of my face. I felt his teeth graze my neck, sending shivers down my spine. The sensations overwhelmed me, leaving me gasping for air. It wasn't until we broke apart for a breath that I realized what had happened. Lucas' eyes sparkled with a knowing glint, and I felt a flush rise to my cheeks. "Lucas," I whispered, my voice trembling. We can't do this." He pulled back, his eyes searching mine for understanding. "What do you mean?" he asked, his brow furrowed. "We've almost fully mated," I stated the obvious, my heart sinking with the realization. Lucas' expression softened, and he stepped closer, his hands on my arms. "That's not a bad thing, Emily. We're mates. It's only natural." "But what about Ashley?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Lucas hesitated, his eyes darting away for a moment before focusing on me. I'll talk to her. Tonight. And I'll break things off with her. I shook my head. My heart heavy with the knowing of what I have done. We cannot let this happen again. Not until you're free to claim me as your true mate. Lucas' face fell. And for a moment, I thought I saw disappointment there. But he nodded. His jaw set in determination. I'll clear things up with Ashley tonight. Emily. And then I'll claim you as mine. The words sent a shiver down my spine. I felt a flutter in my chest as I nodded. My heart pounding. But a small voice within me whispered, warning me to be cautious. I couldn't help but wonder if Lucas was truly ready for a mate bond. Or if he was just caught up in the passion of the moment. And what would happen if he wasn't? My heart hammered a frantic rhythm against the club's controlled pulse. A clash of chaos and order. I pushed through the remaining chaos of the dance floor. My gaze trained on the familiar haven of the VIP section. Each flashing light was a judgment. Each beat a disapproval. Reaching the velvet rope, I flashed a practiced smile at the guard. And slipped inside. The music, though softened, still managed to assault my senses. The air was thick with a chaotic energy. The promise of a storm to come. Lucas was already there. The dim light reflecting off the ice in his whiskey. Each clink a death knell to my sanity. I sank into the cushioned embrace of the booth. "Hey," Lucas said. His voice barely reaching me above the noise. He slid a drink my way. The alcohol offering a false sense of security. "Hey," I replied. My voice a mere echo of his. My insides churned with a familiar anxiety. A beast I struggled to tame. We sat in a tense silence. The roar of the crowd, a backdrop to the chaos brewing between us. Ashley, blissfully unaware of the impending turmoil, was still lost on the dance floor. I knew I had to address the elephant in the room. To confront this escalating reality before it swallowed us whole. Taking a breath, I spoke. My voice barely audible above the music. "So, about what just happened." The words felt inadequate, failing to encapsulate the whirlwind of emotions that had erupted. Lucas leaned in, his dark eyes locking on mine, his features betraying a hint of apprehension. "Look, like I said before, I'll talk to Ashley tonight. Emily. Properly. And then, well, figure things out." The words hung in the air, heavy with potential and the looming possibility of heartbreak. The "we" felt like a punch to the gut. A mate bond was a dream for most. A reality that often went unrealized. I felt a primal urge to flee. To disappear into the crowd. But I knew I couldn't run. Not now. Hesitation gripped me. Lucas' impulsiveness was notorious. And I questioned his readiness for the deep commitment a bond entailed. "I need you to be clear with Ashley," I said. My voice firm. A desperate plea hidden beneath a veneer of authority. "I don't want to be the other woman, Lucas. I want no vagueness. I want no messy situations." He nodded. Jaw tight. A muscle working in his cheek. "I understand. Emily. I will take care of it. I will tell Ashley how I feel." I nodded. The doubt gnawing at me. I studied his features, trying to decipher his intentions. Was he truly ready to sever the bond he shared with Ashley? Or was he allowing the passion of the moment to overrule his judgment? He had always been careful, and the pack dynamics could crumble. Just then, Ashley stumbled off the dance floor, her face flushed, her eyes bright with a drunken joy. She seemed oblivious to the magnitude of the changes taking place beneath her feet. "Hey, guys," she slurred, her voice barely carrying over the music as she collapsed onto the stool beside me. "Hey, Ashley," Lucas said, his voice smooth and carefully neutral. I could feel the gears in his mind turning. Ashley leaned in, her voice a conspiratorial whisper above the noise. "Lucas, could I talk to you for a minute? Away from all this chaos." Her eyes sparkled in the flickering lights. I raised an eyebrow, my eyes on Lucas, waiting for a sign. He shot me a brief, unreadable look, a hint of uncertainty crossing his face. Then, he nodded and followed Ashley towards a quieter area, away from the flashing lights and thumping bass. I watched them go, my stomach churning. Was Lucas ready? Could I possibly be a home wrecker? The bar felt empty. The questions, the dread, and an unwelcome hope swirling in my head. They were gone for an excruciating amount of time, their absence amplifying my unease. I attempted to focus, yet my mind refused to comply, jumping from fear to a strange, unsettling desire. Then, Ryder appeared at my side, concern etched onto his face. His presence, usually comforting, only heightened my worry. "Hey, Emily," he said, his voice low, his gaze filled with concern. "You okay?" "Yeah," I replied, my forced smile failing to reach my eyes. The lie tasted like ashes. Just enjoying the music. Ryder nodded slowly, his eyes darting towards the area where Lucas and Ashley had vanished. Then back to me. "I think Lucas might have some news for you," he said, his voice dropping to a near whisper. My heart lurched. "What kind of news?" I asked, the words barely escaping my lips. Ryder offered a cryptic smile. "Let's just say it involves Lucas, Ashley, and maybe even you." Heat bloomed in my chest. An intense pain had started to stab me in the chest. The world seemed to pause. The lights, the music, the crowd, all faded to background noise. Not too long after, I watched Lucas and Ashley approach, their faces a confusing combination of determination, apprehension, and a flicker of excitement. "Emily," Lucas began, his voice hushed and heavy, "I need to talk to you." The pulsing bass of the club seemed to amplify the pounding in my chest. "Emily, I need to talk to you." Lucas' voice was low, laced with a hesitation that sent a shiver down my spine. Ashley, usually buzzing with laughter, trailed behind him, her expression carefully neutral. A knot of dread tightened in my stomach. I nodded slowly, my throat suddenly dry, and followed them through the chaos of the crowd. We navigated the flashing lights and spilled drinks, finally reaching the quiet back of the club's entrance. The air was cool, a stark contrast to the humid dance floor. Lucas stopped, turning to face me. My gaze followed his, and my breath hitched. Leaning against the brick wall, a strong, lingering scent in the air. The scent of a newly claimed territory. The scent of a bite. Is that what I think it is? The words were barely a whisper. A fragile question against the backdrop of the distant music. Before Lucas could even open his mouth, Ashley stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with a dangerous light. "I knew all along," she said, her voice sharp, void of any warmth. "Did you honestly think I wouldn't smell you on him the night you shifted? He honestly thought I was a fool when he lied about where he was." My world tilted. Lies. Ashley knew. This was worse than I could have imagined. How could you? Ashley. How could you mark someone who is not your mate? What about your true mate? Do you think he will want you after knowing you marked another male wolf? I honestly pity you. The words burst from me, fueled by shock and a gut-wrenching betrayal. My voice trembled with the raw emotion I couldn't contain. My gaze snapped to Lucas, the man I had started to love, the man who had promised me forever. As for you, Lucas, I expected better from you. What kind of mate are you? The question hung in the air. A silent accusation. You've betrayed me. You've betrayed our bond. I'm disgusted. I didn't wait for a response. Didn't want to hear their justifications. Their pathetic excuses. Turning on my heel, I walked away. Each step a struggle against the overwhelming weight of heartbreak and disbelief. I found Liam, my older brother and a steady source of support. Still talking with some of the pack members at the bar. "Liam," I said, my voice wavering. "I'm going home. I don't feel well." He immediately noticed the tears that threatened to spill over and the tremor in my voice. He squeezed my shoulder in comfort. "Go. I'll see you back at the house." The walk home felt endless. Each step was a reminder of the promises that had been broken, of the future I had envisioned, now shattered. The air, once filled with the excitement of the night, now seemed heavy and suffocating. As the soft morning light finally filtered through the drawn curtains of my room, I lay in bed, replaying the scene, the words, the scent, over and over. The betrayal felt like a physical blow, a gaping wound in my heart. I had always believed in the strength of the mate bond, the unwavering loyalty that came with being fated mates. But Ashley's words echoed in my mind. He honestly thought I was a fool. And the scent confirmed the horrifying reality. Lucas was a liar. And a cheater. I got out of bed, forcing myself to focus on the current day. Shower. Dress. Try to eat something. Anything to distract myself from the gnawing pain. I chose a simple sundress, hoping the bright color would somehow lift my spirits. But the light barely touched my insides. Descending the stairs, I was met by a screeching of angry voices. The sound was coming from the kitchen. "You were reckless," I heard Liam's booming voice, laced with fury. "You disregarded the consequences. Both of you. It just happened." "Liam." Ashley's voice was weak, defensive. just happened. You marked another wolf. Your fated mate is out there somewhere, waiting for you. Do you think hell want you now?" Liam was shouting, his words echoing my own thoughts. I took a deep breath and steadied myself as I entered the kitchen. The scene that unfolded before me was even more chaotic than I expected. Liam stood, towering over Lucas and Ashley. Liam's face was red with anger, his usually calm eyes blazing with a fierce protectiveness. He looked close to shifting. Lucas, his face pale and drawn, looked as though he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. Ashley, her brave face gone, stood with her head bowed, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. "You made a mistake. And now you're going to have to deal with it." Liam was still raging. "You think we don't know that?" "Liam," Lucas finally yelled back. "We know we messed up. We thought it would be different." Ashley looked up at me, her eyes red-rimmed and puffy. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone." The sincerity in her words was a small comfort, but it didn't erase the pain. The world seemed to spin. Apologies won't undo anything. I finally managed, keeping my voice as steady as possible. "Lucas, you are lucky that I am not someone who is petty. And therefore, in place of our Luna, I shall punish you both with having to navigate this situation and explaining to your parents what has been done." I turned away from their silent apologies and quickly grabbed a cup of water, trying to compose myself before they notice that I am falling apart. I sat at the table and began to think. I need to try and move on with my life. Perhaps traveling to keep myself busy. A change of scenery might help me heal. A long trip. Maybe to the Northern Territories. Or across the ocean. My thoughts were interrupted when Liam said, "Emily, after breakfast, we will be meeting in my office to discuss a message we received from the Alpha King's castle." My head perked up at the words. I would have to put off my escape plan till later. "All right," I replied softly. My voice was emotionless. "I will be there." "Good morning, everyone," Liam said, standing up to address the group. "I'm glad you could all make it. We have an important announcement to discuss." Our parents, former Alpha and Luna, nodded in agreement. Dad's rugged features and commanding presence reminded me of his authoritative past. Luna, his mate, and Mom sat next to him, her calm demeanor a soothing presence. Gamma Mason, Beta Lucas and his new mate, who would now hold the position of Beta Female, exchanged a glance. Their bond still fresh and full of promise, hopefully for them. Liam began to explain. "I received a message from the Kingdom of Werewolves. They're hosting a grand ball to welcome all alphas and their pack leaders. It's a huge opportunity for us to strengthen our alliances and make new connections. Unfortunately, it also means we'll have to stay for a week or so to attend meetings aimed at uncovering the traitor Alpha who's been working with the rogues." Aria's mental voice cut in. "Traitor. That's great. Just what we need. More drama." I mentally shot back. "Aria, be quiet and listen. This is important." Liam continued. "As discussed with my father, Hell, take charge of the pack temporarily until I return. Beta Lucas and Beta Female will attend. And Gamma Mason has agreed to join us as well. I nodded my head, trying to process the information. Arya chimed in. Great. Just what we need. More excitement. My mental voice replied. Shh. Arya. We need to think about the pack's well-being. We can't let our personal feelings get in the way. Liam's eyes locked onto mine. His gaze filled with a deep sense of gratitude. Emily. I know I've yet to meet my mate. And I've been blessed to have you helping me out by taking on the Luna's role when needed. I'd like to ask you to attend the ball as well. Representing the pack. I forced a smile, hiding my true feelings. Of course. Liam. I'd be honored to attend. Arya growled mentally. Just great. You're stuck with those two for a week or more. Wonderful. Hey. Arya. Calm down. I replied. We need to think of the pack's interests. We can't let our personal feelings get in the way. Arya's mental voice shot back. Personal feelings. Are you not also the one who's been hurt? Emily. I'll deal with them when the time comes. Liam finished his speech. And we discussed the details. Arya started to stir once more. Her mental voice, a low rumble. I don't think this is a good idea. Can we not fake sick and stay home? I replied patiently. Arya. I know you're hurting. And so am I. But we have to think about the pack. We're helping Liam make important connections. And maybe we can find some answers while we're there. Arya's mental voice turned icy. Brother Liam doesn't know about us. He does not know what Ashley has done. And Beta Lucas can fall into a hole for all I care. I shot back. Arya. Be fair. We have to think about the pack's well-being. Not just our own feelings. Arya's mental voice turned venomous. Fair. Ha. You're always so focused on being fair. Emily. Let me deal with them. And I'll show them what's fair. With that, Arya's mental presence grew distant. And I was left with a feeling of unease. Liam finished discussing the details and announced our departure date. We'll be leaving on Thursday morning. We have a long drive ahead of us. So let's make sure to get a good rest. Arya's mental voice cut back in. Great. Just what I needed. More time stuck in a car with those two. Thursday arrived quicker than I could have imagined. I woke up at the crack of dawn. Around 4 a.m. My nerves making it impossible to sleep any longer. After a quick morning workout to release some of that restless energy, I got into the shower and got dressed, mentally preparing myself for the trip ahead. By 6:45 a.m. I was already outside, loading up my vehicle. I had made it crystal clear to everyone we were leaving by 7 a.m. sharp. So when I glanced at my watch and saw the time ticking away, a sense of anxiety washed over me. Still no one else was in sight. Just then, I heard footsteps coming down the stairs. A moment later, Emily emerged, looking fresh and excited, her suitcase in tow. Gamma Mason soon followed, appearing just as eager. My parents, perhaps sensing the buzz in the air, were awake to see us off, their smiles giving off comfort and love. But as the seconds dragged by, I found myself pacing in the living room, glancing toward the staircase more frequently than I intended. Liam, if you keep pacing like that, you're going to wear a hole in the floor, my mother said with a gentle laugh. Sensing my anxiety, I looked up at her, her regal presence always calming me amidst the chaos. Where are they? I muttered under my breath, frustration bubbling within me. Just then, at 7:08 m, Lucas finally appeared, Ashley in tow right behind him. What took you so long? I raised an eyebrow, irritation escaping my tone. Lucas had always been the punctual one, the first to rise in anticipation of our adventures. But since his marked his chosen mate, it seemed that had all changed. Chill, Liam. You act like we were going to miss the ride, Lucas replied, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Let's just get moving, I interjected, trying to steer the energy back on track. Good morning, everyone. Now that we are finally all here, we can load up and head out. Emily, you'll ride along with me and the warriors, I instructed, giving her a warm smile. The rest of you will pile into the second car. Remember, we have a 6-hour journey ahead. So well, make stops when needed. Any questions? Silence fell over the group as everyone exchanged glances, perhaps feeling a mix of excitement and nerves about the day. Okay then. Let's hit the road. Before I climbed into the driver's seat, I leaned down to kiss my mother on the cheek. Take care, Mum. Dad. I trust the pack will thrive while I'm away. If you need anything, just give me a call. With a reassuring nod from both of them, I hopped into the car, the anticipation building for what lay ahead. 3 hours into the journey, the car felt like it was moving in slow motion. My headphones were starting to feel more like a chain around my neck than the soul-soothing escape they usually provided. Hey, Liam, I piped up, breaking the silence. How much longer until the next stop? I really need to stretch my legs. Roughly 30 minutes, he replied, keeping his eyes on the road, though I could hear the hint of sympathy in his voice. That's just great, I groaned, feeling my leg twitch restlessly. At this rate, I'll be climbing the walls. Hey, at least we're not stuck with Jerk Face and the witch. Arya, my inner wolf, chimed in with a cheeky tone. True. I just wish this ride would end already, I sighed. You know, we could always just run there. It would be faster, Arya suggested, her voice dripping with playful arrogance. Great idea. Why didn't I think of that? I shot back sarcastically. Probably because you're not as brilliant as I am, she replied smugly. Keep telling yourself that. Genius, I retorted, shaking my head and stifling a laugh. Suddenly, the car came to an abrupt halt, catching me off guard. Finally. Time for a bathroom break and maybe some food. I'm starving, I exclaimed, practically springing out of my seat. As I made my way to the restroom, I was jolted by a hard impact. Can't you watch where you're going? Ashley snapped, her voice filled with irritation. Sorry. But you walked right into me. I protested, my annoyance flaring. She simply rolled her eyes and stalked off. Goddess. What crawled up her ass and died? Arya muttered. And I couldn't help but let out a chuckle. Honestly, I have no idea. She's been in a mood lately, I said, shaking my head. Maybe she just needs to let her wolf out for a run too, Arya quipped. And I had to smile at that. I finally slipped away to the restroom, my mind racing about all the wonderful snacks I can choose from. After a quick bathroom and snack break for everyone, we gathered back at the cars. Our spirits were much higher than they had been earlier. The fresh air had a way of lifting moods. I watched Emily as she grabbed a granola bar and bottle of water, her eyes brightened. And the little things seemed to delight her. It reminded me of how innocent and joyful she could be, even amidst our chaotic lives. Okay. Jump in. We have a long way to go, I barked cheerfully, eager to keep up the momentum as we approached the halfway mark on our road trip. Once we were all loaded back in, I turned up the music to drown out the frustration of being in the car again. As the cool tunes filled the air, I could hear Emily humming along, her energy contagious. In the back, Titus and Sean were engaged in a rare moment of laughter, the kind that made me forget the tension that had been evident all morning. But as we continued down the road, a dark cloud loomed overhead. Looks like there is a storm coming, said Emily. A mere hour later, we began nearing the forested area we had all been so excited to explore. The trees were thick and lush, the bright green standing out from the landscape. However, just as I was about to point out how beautiful everything looked, the car engine made a funny sound. Oh no. 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 I muttered, my heart racing. I pulled over to the side of the road, the engine sound fading into silence. What's wrong? Emily asked, her brows knitting together in concern. I don't think it is anything too severe, I prayed silently. Just stay here. I'll take a quick look. As I stepped out, the cool wind rushed against my face, further mixing in a pool of anxiety and panic. Under the hood, I noticed a disconnected wire. Something I could fix, but not without a bit of patience. Liam. Everything okay? Emily called again, her voice filled with concern. And it tore at my heart to see her worried. Yeah. I just need to fix a wire, I called back, focusing hard on the task at hand. As I reached for the wire, a shiver ran down my spine. The feeling I'd sensed earlier washed over me, heavy and dark. From the depths of the trees, shadows began to stir. I quickly stood up, turning my gaze towards the dark forest. Stay in the car, I shouted, my wolf instincts pressing on me to be vigilant. What is it? Lucas asked, getting out of the second car despite my instructions. Just get back inside, I barked, the urgency of the situation rising. The forest felt alive in a way I couldn't quite describe. A sense of foreboding pulsed in the air. Just as they were about to question me further, a loud growl erupted from the trees, shaking the ground beneath us. My eyes widened, adrenaline coursing through my veins as I realized what was approaching. Everyone back, I ordered, stepping closer to the path where the noise emerged. A massive wolf cut through the trees. Fur dark as night. Eyes glimmering like polished stone. This wasn't a typical wolf. It radiated menace and power. Is that? Emily's voice trailed off. Fear etched across her face as she instinctively took a step closer to me. Stay behind me, I murmured, shuffling into a protective stance. I felt Emily's steady heartbeat. Her faith in me giving me strength. You're trespassing, Alpha. The wolf growled. Its voice a deep, gravelly tone that vibrated in my chest. I could feel the tension rising. A battle of wills beginning. We're not here to cause trouble. We're just passing through, I replied, my composure steady, though my heart raced. I could feel Lucas tense beside me, ready to defend if necessary. I don't care, the rogue wolf snapped, stepping closer, its eyes locking onto mine. This territory is claimed. As if on cue, two other wolves join in. As its presence loomed larger, the girls instinctively drew closer to me. I took a deep breath, the forest around us turning eerily quiet as we awaited my reply. Listen. I respect your territory, I said firmly, feeling the weight of the moment settle. We have no intention of engaging in any conflict. We just need to fix the car and be on our way. Surely. There must be a way we can resolve this without any violence. For a moment, the wolf simply stared, casting a glance towards the trees, as if gauging whether I was genuine. The air was electric, each heartbeat heavy with anticipation. Then, in an unexpected flicker of action, it tilted its head slightly, a sign of consideration. You have strength in numbers. That much is clear, the wolf said, its voice softer to redirect our fears. But don't think for a moment that it'll hesitate if provoked. With that, it turned its massive frame and disappeared back into the forest, the other two following, the weight of unease still hanging in the air. As the tension released, I turned back to the people around me, feeling a mix of disbelief and relief. We need to fix this car and leave before more trouble comes. Right behind you, Emily said firmly, determination in her voice. Lucas added, let's get this done and hit the road. I don't fancy running into any more werewolves today. After the incident, I felt adrenaline and fear pulsing through me. Never had I thought our road trip would go sideways so quickly. But Liam's resolve steadied me. He was always the strong one, the one who knew how to handle chaos when it arose. As we piled back into the vehicles, this time I took a moment to look back at the trees that had just threatened our journey. You did great back there, I said to Liam, breaking the heavy silence in the car. Thanks. It is difficult to control the beast within. But I think we just roll with the punches. That's how life works. He forced a chuckle. I could see the tension easing from him as he gripped the wheel, confidence shining through. We resumed our journey and planned to fill the future hours with laughter, music, and maybe a few whimsical ghost stories about the shadowy woods we'd just narrowly escaped. The forest behind us began to fade as we moved ahead into the journey. 2 hours later we finally reached our destination. As we reached the big steel gates of the castle, we were suddenly stopped by 2 guards who looked ready to throw us straight back out. Their muscular frames loomed over us, and I couldn't help but feel a little intimidated. "Name and pack," one of the guards barked, his voice deep and firm. "Liam." However, with a calm confidence that reminded me of why he was our alpha. "I'm Alpha Liam Mickelson of the Silver Moon Pack. The car behind is with us." The guard's expression softened very slight as he nodded, stepping aside to allow us through. Once inside, my breath hitched at the vintage beauty of the castle. It was a patchwork of rich history, as if each brick held stories of the past. I felt like I had stepped into a movie set. As our car came to a stop, I noticed a man standing on the grand steps, his posture radiating authority. As we climbed out of the car, the man approached us with an eager smile. "Good day, Alpha Mickelson," he began. "I'm Michael Anthony Harrison, better known as Beta Harrison." "A pleasure to meet you," Liam replied, his voice steady and polite. "I'm Alpha Liam. But please, just call me Liam." Beta Harrison grinned and shook hands with everyone. "And this is Beta Lucas, his mate Ashley, and my Gamma Mason." When he reached me, his eyes twinkled with warmth. "And you must be Emily. Welcome." I smiled back, feeling a little warmth at his welcoming demeanor. "Thank you," I said, trying to sound as composed as Liam. He then looked at Liam, concern in his eyes. "No Luna yet?" Liam cleared his throat, a hint of awkwardness creeping into his voice. "I haven't found her yet. So my sister Emily has kindly stepped in to help with pack duties until I do." Beta Harrison's demeanor softened further. "That's commendable," he said, before gesturing for us to follow him. "Come. I'll show you to your rooms. You can freshen up, and we'll serve supper in about 4 hours. One of the staff will come to escort you and your pack." We walked behind Beta Harrison, and I tried to absorb every detail of the castle's stunning interior. My eyes widened at every painting we passed. As we ascended to the second floor, I assumed we were heading to the East Wing, reserved for pack leaders. We first stopped at Liam's room. It was modest but nice, with a clean look that suited him perfectly. "It works," Liam said, a small smile on his face. Next, we moved to Lucas and Ashley's room right next to Liam's. But I didn't step inside. Soon, it was my turn. And as I entered my own room, I felt a certain coziness wrap around me. It wasn't as big as Liam's or Lucas, but the soft queen-sized bed looked inviting, and the warm cream color of the walls made me feel at home. Though I did wish that Lucas and Ashley's room wasn't so close by. Once we were all settled in, we freshened up and met outside our rooms. At that moment, a tall warrior approached us, giving off authority. "Good evening, Alpha Mickelson and guests," he said with a respectful nod. "If you would follow me, I'll take you to the dining hall." We followed him through a maze of corridors that seemed to go on forever. I was captivated by the rich paintings lining the walls, trying to memorize the way we were going. Eventually, we arrived in the dining hall, and my stomach rumbled in anticipation of the meal ahead. The aroma wafting through the air was simply mouth-watering. As I moved toward the food line, I marveled at the buffet spread before me. There were an array of dishes, fresh salads, and steaming sides that made my mouth water. I served myself some roasted chicken that looked amazing, pairing it with a side of lightly dressed cedar salad and a refreshing bottle of water. As I approached a table, I caught Lucas' gaze again. He was staring, an intense look on his face. And I rolled my eyes, feeling a warmth rise to my cheeks. I quickly chose a seat as far away from Ashley as I could manage. Just as I settled in, a hush fell over the hall. Someone stood up, ready to speak. "Good evening, everyone." A voice echoed through the room, commanding our attention. "On behalf of the royal pack, I want to thank you for gathering with us this week. I hope you are all enjoying the meal." I felt a flutter of excitement as I wondered what news was coming next. The Alpha King has decided to step down, allowing his son to take over the pack and kingdom. The voice continued. "A crowning ceremony will follow this meeting. However, due to recent events, the king has chosen to keep his son's identity concealed. He will blend in like any other alpha among you." A collective murmur of surprise rippled through the hall. "Wait. We won't know who the new Alpha King is?" I mused, my mind racing. What if we've already met him? Ashley turned to everyone, her eyes sparkling with intrigue. "Oh. Imagine if he's here right now." I kept a light smile, but my thoughts were still swirling. Who could he be? As I continued to eat, I felt a bit of curiosity building inside me. With so many alphas in one place, secrets hung in the air. As the evening slipped away, everything felt just right. I found myself in my room, ready to unwind for the night. Dressed in my favorite satin night set, I nestled into bed, hoping to get lost in the pages of a good book. But out of nowhere, a sharp pain pierced through me, making me gasp for breath. It felt like the walls were closing in, and panic bubbled up inside me. I knew I had to get out of that room. Stumbling into the hallway, I make my way outside. I was completely oblivious to the fact that I was not the only person outside. The cool night air hit my flushed cheeks like a splash of cold water. Each breath hurt, making it feel as if my chest was on the verge of splitting apart. I stumbled outside, desperate for a moment away from the chaos inside the room. Away from the thought of him with her. I fell to my knees, gasping, tears mixing with the sweat on my face. I felt so small, so abandoned. And I couldn't bear the thought of facing my reality. He didn't even have the decency to reject me outright. Finally, the sharp pain began to ease. But before I could fully process my relief, I sensed someone nearby. "Hello there." Restlessness had lured me outside into the cool night air, where I often came to find a moment of peace. As I gazed up at the stars and the moon, I heard footsteps and turned to see a she-wolf stagger out onto the porch. She looked disoriented, clutching her chest like she might shatter. My heart ached for her. There was pain in her stance, something raw and incredibly real. Was she rejected? Or was her mate cheating on her? I wanted to step forward, to help, but I hesitated, unsure of how to approach her in such a vulnerable moment. As she leaned against the wall, I could see the moonlight catching her features. Her beauty was striking, even amidst her distress. "Hello there," I said carefully. trying to keep my tone gentle. Her eyes widened, shock giving way to an almost shy uncertainty. Hello, she responded, her voice barely above a whisper, a hint of embarrassment creeping into her demeanor. How long have you been standing there? She asked, glancing away, obviously flustered. Long enough to see you stumble through that door. I hope to lighten the mood. A flicker of a smile crossed her lips, and I could sense the tension easing just a bit. Do you need a hand? I offered, extending my arm to help her up. After a moment of hesitation, she took my hand. Her touch was soft, and I could smell fresh daisies lingering in her wake. There was something comforting about it. She sat up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Thank you, she said, managing a shy smile despite the puffiness of her face from crying. Would you like to talk about it? The curiosity pulled me. I wanted to know her story. I don't even know you, she said. Anxiety seemed to be dancing in her voice. Sorry, where are my manners? I'm Alpha Noah. But you can just call me Noah. I was secretly hoping my cheerfulness would put her at ease. There was something unexplainable that drew me to her. A spark that hinted she might be worth knowing more. It's nice to meet you, I managed, still hurting, yet strangely drawn to him. My name is Emily. It's nice to meet you, Emily, he replied, his smile warm. May I ask what's bothering you? My heart raced, torn between wanting to share my pain and the fear of being judged. But Noah's genuine concern made it easier. Maybe I could trust him. Just this once. I took a deep breath and looked up at him, realizing how comforting his presence was. How much time do you have? Why don't we grab something to drink while we talk? He suggested. I nodded, feeling a flicker of hope blossom inside me. Yeah, I think I need that. After making ourselves drinks in the kitchen area of our wing, we settled onto the stairs, drinks in hand, the weight of the night stretching between us like the soft starlit sky above. As she began to unveil her story, I felt my shoulders tighten with anger and pity in equal measure. What a fool he is, I exclaimed, unable to hold back. If it was me, I'd have marked you right then and there, then figured the rest out later. Her lips cracked a smile, but I could see the pain beneath it. Hours melted away as we shared stories and laughter under the moonlight. She told me about her life, her struggles, the dreams she'd fought for and the chains of heartache that held her back. I found myself enchanted, sharing my own childhood tales. Suddenly, she leaned against me, and before I knew it, sleep claimed her in a dreamy sigh. I hadn't meant to feel this way. I lifted her gently, careful not to disturb her. She deserved peace, at least for one night, and I wanted to keep her safe. I carried her back to my room, making sure no one in the pack spotted us together. When morning arrived, I was stirred from sleep by the sound of movement. I opened my eyes to find Emily wide-eyed and frantic, scanning the unfamiliar room. Hey, I said softly, not wanting to startle her. Where am I? She whispered, her voice laced with panic. You're in my room, I assured her, trying to ground her. How did I end up here? She asked, anxiety creeping into her tone. Liam is going to be furious when he finds out I was missing all night. Wait. Don't you have a mate? She questioned, alarm flashing in her eyes. I moved closer, hoping to calm her. Emily, I don't have a mate, I said firmly, needing her to understand the truth. And you can just say you were with a friend when you lost track of time. It isn't a big deal. She took a measured breath, slowly nodding, and the tension began to ease from her shoulders. Thank you for last night. I really needed to get that off my chest, she said, her words softening the anxiety. No worries, I replied, feeling a warmth spread in my chest. Why don't you go freshen up? We should meet for breakfast after. Okay. That sounds good, she said, allowing a small smile as she stood. As she headed for the door, I pointed her in the right direction and watched her walk away. Not long after I finish my shower and get myself ready for the day, I head downstairs, eager to enjoy some breakfast. As I left Noah's room, my heart raced with an intoxicating feeling of excitement and anxiety. Thankfully, the corridors were deserted, and I spotted no pack members lingering around. I hurried into my room, shutting the door softly behind me. After a quick shower, to freshen up, I slipped into a simple black and white semi-formal dress that hugged my curves in all the right places, pairing it with my favorite kitten heels. I let my hair fall in natural waves down my back and opted for minimal makeup, just enough to mask the lingering evidence of my late-night adventure. Navigating my way downstairs, I felt a flutter of nerves in my stomach. I was alone in the dining area, which felt a bit eerie. I poured myself a generous bowl of muesli, layered it with yogurt, and grabbed a small bottle of juice. Just as I settled into a chair, I heard the faint scrape of another chair next to mine. I looked up, and my breath caught a bit when I saw Noah sliding into the seat beside me. Good morning, I said, smiling, trying to keep my tone light. Good morning, love, he replied, returning my smile with a hint of mischief in his eyes. The term of endearment surprised me and stirred something warm in my chest. How had someone like him managed to stay single for so long? You look lovely today, he added, his gaze lingering. I assume you had a good night. His playful wink made me blush slightly. I cleared my throat, unsure of how to respond. Well, you could say that, I managed, stealing a glance at the hefty breakfast he had set in front of himself: bacon, eggs, and toast piled high. So, what are your plans after this meeting? He asked, leaning back in his chair, clearly interested. I bit my lip, considering. Honestly, I haven't thought about it much. I think I might travel for a bit, but am really not sure how I'll survive this week with everything swirling around me. He leaned in slightly, his expression softening. You know, you can always find me if you want someone to hang out with or vent to, he offered, and his genuine sincerity melted away some of my worries. That actually sounds nice, I replied, feeling warmth spread through me. Our conversation was interrupted by a tall, tan man with a sturdy build as he approached us, a friendly demeanor on his face. "Ah. This is my gamma. Carson." Noah introduced me. "Carson. This is Emily." Carson smiled slightly before turning to Noah. "Mind if I steal you for a moment? We have some pack business to discuss." "Not at all," Noah said, sliding out of his chair. He glanced back at me, and I gave him a quick, encouraging thumbs up. After Noah left, I felt a sinking feeling in my stomach as Lucas and Ashley entered the dining area, absolutely beaming at each other. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Their gushing affection was almost nauseating. Just then, Liam appeared, looking like he'd spotted treasure. "Emily. There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. I even came by your room earlier. But you weren't there. You smell different," he said, wrinkling his nose in curiosity. "Different?" I echoed, genuinely confused. "What do you mean?" "It's like you've swapped scents or something. Did you use a new cologne?" he asked, tilting his head with an inquisitive look. I paused, the memory of last night flooding back to me. "Oh. Well. I was in Noah's room last night. So maybe it's his scent mixed in with mine." Before I could dive deeper into that thought, Liam shifted the topic. "By the way, I wanted to let you know that the first meeting begins later today. So don't be late." "I won't be," I promised, grateful for his concern. He flashed me an encouraging smile before turning to leave, glancing back over his shoulder. "Enjoy your time here, sister. You work too hard." I chuckled lightly at his brotherly banter, hoping it would lighten my mood. Not long after that, Noah returned to the dining area, and relief washed over me. "Sorry about that," he said as he slid back into his seat, looking slightly apologetic. "Had to sort out some pack issues, nothing too crazy." "No problem at all, Noah," I replied with a playful shrug. "You're the alpha. It comes with the job." My gaze instinctively drifted towards Lucas and Ashley again, their affection sickeningly sweet. And Noah noticed. "Is that them?" he asked. And I nodded, feeling my cheeks heat up. We continued our conversation until breakfast wrapped up, and I mentally prepared myself for the upcoming meeting. As I walked toward the meeting room, I felt a rough tug on my arm, pulling me sharply into a corridor. I turned around to find Lucas glaring at me, a storm brewing in his eyes. "What was that all about at breakfast?" he demanded, his tone sharp. "What are you talking about?" I asked, trying to feign indifference. But my heart raced. "You know exactly what I mean, acting all friendly with that guy. Have you forgotten you have a mate?" he shouted, his voice echoing harshly around us. I rolled my eyes, my irritation rising. "Yeah. Some mate, I have. You didn't even think about me when you allowed another she-wolf to mark you. Did you really believe you could have both me and someone else?" His expression darkened, and he stepped closer, his body towering over mine as he pressed me against the wall. eyes intense. You'll stay away from him. Do you hear me? I squared my shoulders, refusing to be intimidated. What gives you the right to control me? I can talk to whoever I want. With a determined shove, I pushed past him, heading into the meeting room. To make a point, I sat down right next to Noah, smiling brightly at him. He offered a brief, reassuring grin before focusing on the speaker at the front, unaware of the emotional storm that was brewing around us. As the meeting dragged on, I couldn't shake the feeling of Lucas' intense gaze boring into me. Seriously, what was his deal? He already had a chosen mate. Yet, he acted like he could control me. Well, he was about to find out that I wouldn't be pushed around. I would show him exactly who I was. After all, I was a single she-wolf. I could talk to whoever I wanted. Lost in my thoughts, I felt a gentle squeeze on my hand. I glanced over to see Noah, looking at me with concern. "Hey, are you okay?" he whispered, his eyes searching mine. "Yeah, I'm fine," I replied, though my mind was elsewhere, fixated on Lucas' unyielding stare. When the meeting finally came to an end, I stood up from my chair and headed for the door, eager to escape. Just as I reached the hallway, Ashley stepped in front of me. Her face showed anger. "Listen, Emily," she said, voice low and threatening. "Lucas is mine. Stay away from him." I blinked, caught off guard by her arrogance. "Did you forget you're the one who stole him from his mate?" I shot back, my heart racing in bewilderment and anger. For a moment, she was silent, her eyes narrowing as she processed my words. Then she unleashed a flurry of insults, each one more hurtful than the last, before spinning on her heels and stomping off. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words settle in. I needed to clear my head. I should go for a run, I thought. "Arya, my wolf," echoed the sentiment. She was just as restless as I was. "Finally, you're realizing I could use some fresh air too," Arya joked, and I couldn't help but chuckle inwardly at her cheekiness. I dashed to the backyard and slipped behind a tree, pulling off my clothes as I prepared to shift. Almost instantly, my wolf emerged, and with a powerful leap, I took off into the woods, feeling the wind whip against my fur. I ran freely, partially staying close to the castle, not wanting to get lost in these unfamiliar woods. After an uneventful run, I shifted back, quickly dressing before making my way downstairs for dinner. I opted for some comfy lounge pants and a fitted top, slipping my hair into a high ponytail and skipping the makeup altogether. I felt light and relaxed as I made my way to the dining area. "Hey, Emily," Liam greeted me, grabbing food from the buffet. "It's been a while. You've kind of been off the radar since we got here. I hope you're enjoying yourself." I smiled back at him, grateful for his easy demeanor. "Sorry, Liam. I've just been adjusting. But I promise I'm having fun." "Ooh. I see my friend over there. Catch up later." I waved and turned, hoping to find a quieter spot. Later in my room, I settled in with a book, hoping to distract myself and relax. But then, without warning, a tightness gripped my chest. My heart raced as I recognized the familiar feeling creeping up on me. I needed to get away. Frantically, I rushed to Noah's door, praying he was nearby. Before I could even bring my knuckles to the wood, his door swung open, and he pulled me into a warm, reassuring embrace. It was comforting, like he had some kind of magic that calmed my racing thoughts. We sat together in silence for what felt like forever, the panic slowly fading away. "Emily," he finally said, breaking the quiet. "I have a proposition for you. What if you stayed here for the rest of the trip? It could help you clear your mind and keep you focused." I looked up, meeting his hopeful gaze. There was something about the idea that sparked a flicker of excitement in my chest. Maybe staying here could be just what I needed. A way to escape the chaos and confusion. I took a deep breath, a smile creeping onto my face. I'd really like that. Last night felt like a shift in the universe. When Noah asked me to stay with him for the remainder of the trip, I felt like time had briefly frozen. I was utterly taken aback. After all, who was I, for him to want me near him? In the days since we first met, he had an inexplicable way of making me feel safe. A soothing presence that seemed to calm my restless spirit. Now, in the soft morning light, I stood before my mirror, trying to shake off the surprising turn of events from the previous evening. After a refreshing shower, I pulled my hair into a high ponytail, leaving the ends to cascade in gentle waves. I kept my makeup subtle with a light touch that highlighted my features just enough to give me a fresh look without overwhelming my face. The forest green pantsuit I slipped into hugged my frame perfectly. And when I paired it with a crisp white vest, I felt a rush of confidence. My black shiny chunky loafers completed the ensemble. And I thought, today, I look like I mean business. As I made my way downstairs, granola bar in one hand and steaming coffee in the other, I was ready to tackle whatever lay ahead. But midway down the hall, a wave of dizziness overwhelmed me. I fumbled, instinctively reaching for the wall to steady myself. Just as I was about to lose my balance, Noah appeared at my side, concern radiating off him like a warm light. "Emily, are you okay? You looked like you were about to faint." I smiled slightly, touched by his concern. "I'm fine. Really. Just felt a little lightheaded for a moment," I assured him, though I could feel the embarrassment creeping into my cheeks. "I'm good now. Let's head inside." "All right then. But let me know if you need anything," he replied, his gaze trailing me as we walked together, the unanswered questions still hanging in the air. We settled into our seats in the meeting room, the atmosphere thick with tension. I tried my hardest to focus on the discussions, but my mind kept wandering, and the voices around me became a jumble of noise. Alphas shared their insights on the rogue situation, but none seemed to have any real answers. I could sense the king's frustration simmering beneath the surface, like a pot ready to boil over. With every passing moment, my anxiety grew, and I couldn't help but wonder if anything would ever change. Finally, the meeting concluded, and I pushed through the heavy doors, desperate for a breath of fresh air and a moment alone. My thoughts were still racing when I was suddenly confronted by Lucas. His voice slicing through my pondering. "Emily. Why do you keep acting like this? Why are you trying to hurt me? You're not listening to me. I'm your mate." The term mate hung in the air, its weight suffocating. I felt my heart race in anger, my voice rising a little without my permission. "You are no mate of mine. My mate would never have allowed another she-wolf to mark him." Frustration twisted his expression. "Emily. Let's not do this again. It was a mistake. And you need to forget it." "Forget it?" I laughed bitterly, disbelief flooding my voice. "How can I forget that my mate marked someone else? That he claimed another? You're nothing to me. So please, just walk away." I shot back, turning on my heel, desperate to escape this painful confrontation. But as I turned, Lucas grabbed my wrist, yanking me back around. "We are not done here. Don't walk away from me," he said, his voice tightening with aggression. Then, like the arrival of a tempest, I heard that low growl from behind me. "Let go of her. She is done talking to you. If I see you anywhere near her again, I won't hesitate to put you down. Do I make myself clear?" It was Noah. Relief washed over me like a warm wave. I turned slowly, seeing him standing there, tall and fierce. His eyes locked onto Lucas with an intensity that was both comforting and frightening at the same time. I could feel that protective energy radiating from him, wrapping around me like a shield. Lucas, intimidated by Noah's commanding presence, lowered his head, a look of resignation on his face. "Yes, Alpha Noah," he muttered before retreating into the hallway. Turning back to Noah, I felt warmth bubbling in my chest. Oh my knight in shining armor," I teased lightly, trying to inject a bit of humor into the moment. "Thank you. But I don't want to sound ungrateful. I could have handled him." Noah's lips quirked upward, a shy smile breaking through his otherwise stoic facade. "Maybe. But I didn't want to take any chances. You deserve someone who will stand up for you, Emily," he replied, his voice softer now, the fierce edge smoothing out into something protective. Standing there together, the tension from moments before faded. Despite the uncertainty of the day ahead, I felt the reassuring comfort of having someone like Noah beside me. We went about our day as usual. But as afternoon approached, Liam came looking for me. He wanted to know if I was okay and if I had made up with Ashley or if we were still fighting. I could see the confusion on his face. He really had no idea what was going on. I decided to brush it off and change the subject, asking if he had checked in with Dad back home. When morning came, I found myself back in Noah's room again. I had sneaked in late the night before to avoid being seen. We talked a bit at first, but then settled into a comfortable silence, enjoying each other's company. I curled up with a novel while Noah worked on his laptop, the soft sound of keys clicking in the background. As the days passed by, this quiet routine became a cherished part of my life. I was becoming attached to Noah. There was something profoundly magnetic about him, a calming force that eased my mind and set my heart racing in ways I wasn't ready to admit. Today felt special. charged with an undercurrent of excitement. Standing before the full-length mirror in my room, I took a moment to admire the beige corset divided by bustier midi dress that hugged my curves perfectly. The spaghetti straps felt secure yet delicate against my skin. I paired it with simple nude strapped flats, nothing extravagant. But it made me feel polished. My hair flowed down my back in its natural waves. But I decided to tie back a few front strands, securing them with a soft beige bow. After a touch of makeup, just enough to enhance my features without masking who I really was, I felt ready to greet the world. With a light heart, I made my way downstairs, anticipation buzzing in my chest like a hummingbird's wings. Upon entering the lunchroom, I noticed the lively commotion around me. There, at our usual table, sat Noah, deep in conversation with another man. I felt a spark of curiosity at the serious expression on his face. But before I could ponder it further, the man abruptly stood and hurried away. A frown etched on his brow. Something about that departure didn't sit right with me. But I quickly brushed it off and walked over to Noah. "Hey there," I greeted, attempting to sound casual. But my study of the scene around us must have shown on my face. "Hello, Emily." Noah's eyes lit up, crinkling at the corners, with that familiar warmth that always made my cheeks flush. "You look rather ravishing today," he added, the compliment sending a warm rush through me. "Thank you," I replied, my heart fluttering as I took a seat across from him. The food laid before us was inviting, delicious layers of lasagne, vibrant fruit arranged like little jewels on a platter, and glasses of juice and water. We dug in, the rich flavors enveloping my senses as we shared light-hearted banter that flowed effortlessly. I could lose myself in moments like these, each shared laugh weaving us closer together. At some point, I realized the cheerful chatter around us had faded to a telling silence. Glancing up, I noticed we were the last two people in the room. The peaceful bubble we had formed was suddenly pierced by Noah's voice, a sharp edge cutting through the mundane. "Did you hear that?" he asked, his brows furrowing in concern. "What are you talking about, Noah?" I asked, puzzled. Then, it happened. A lot of shouting erupted, panic spilling into the castle like a tidal wave. "We are under attack," the words echoed, scattering the few remaining people nearby into chaos as they rushed for the exits, fear visible in their eyes. "Emily." Noah's voice sliced through the mayhem as he gripped my hand tightly. "Listen to me. You must get to the bunker. Find the Luna and the kids. Help those who can't fight and keep yourself safe. They'll come for you when this is over. Promise me you'll stay safe." His words hit me in a whirlwind of emotions. I searched his eyes, hoping to find reassurance. But all I saw was fierce determination. Then he leaned in and pressed a soft kiss to my forehead, the warmth lingering even as he raced off, shouting orders to anyone within earshot, directing them towards safety. My heart raced as I stood there, processing the reality of his words. Was this how he had anticipated this chaos? Were the alphas told so they know to give warnings for emergencies like this? Given that this is not their pack, a sense of foreboding crept in. But I pushed it down, focusing instead on my own instincts. Rounding a corner, adrenaline surged through me as I spotted a rogue charging toward me. his cruel laughter sending a shiver down my spine. I took a deep breath, feeling the shift within me as I growled, a warning rumbling from deep within. The rogue's laughter faded as he scoffed at my imposingly small form, and I knew I had to act, and fast. In a split second, I shifted to Arya, my wolf embodiment, allowing her instincts and strength to flood my being. Her fur glowed in the dim light, igniting a fierce sense of power within me. With my body low and ready, I prepared myself for the confrontation ahead, my heart thudding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. The rogue lunged, and we collided in a crash of fury. My claws raked across his face, sending him stumbling back with a howl of pain. Yet he was determined, roaring back to charge at me again. I could feel my pulse quickening, but I was ready. As he barreled toward me in a reckless frenzy, I sidestepped with flexibility, pushing him off balance and sending him crashing into the wall, leaving a crack behind like a reminder of the strength we possessed. A surge of pride welled within me as I realized I had him at a disadvantage. In one swift movement, I launched forward and seized his throat in my jaws, my grip firm and unforgiving. I felt a rush of adrenaline as I ripped him down, delivering a decisive blow that silenced his malicious presence. Yet, as I stood amidst the chaos, I felt a pang of loss for my once beautiful dress, now stained and torn, a reminder of a simpler time. But there was no time to dwell on appearances. I could hear the sounds of battle raging outside, the stakes far too high to ignore. Driven by a need to help, I moved stealthily toward the door, my instincts heightened. As I approached, whispers reached my ears, quiet yet urgent. Peeking through a small crack in the door, I strained to see beyond. A shadowy figure stood within, conversing with another rogue. A cold knot of fear tightened in my stomach. They were plotting something, and the knowledge fueled a fire inside me. In that moment, I knew I couldn't simply stand by. My pack needed me, and no matter the danger, I would do everything in my power to protect them, even if it meant risking my own safety. With Arya's strength surging through me, I was ready to fight, to defend what mattered most. The battle was far from over, and I wouldn't back down. The air was thick with a tension I could almost taste, a mixture of panic and fear that raised the hair on my arms. Just days ago, the castle's hallways had been filled with laughter, but now they echoed with chaos and desperation. My heart raced as I pushed through the anxious crowd, my thoughts consumed by Emily. Did she make it to safety? Had she taken my warning seriously and reached the bunker? Those who cannot fight, get to safety, I called out, my voice rising above the noise. The frantic cries of pack members mixed with the growls of rogues outside, each sound a grim reminder of the danger we faced. Among the disarray, I spotted Lucas, a member of Alpha Liam's pack, trembling near Ashley. He looked lost and terrified, an image of defeat. "Get into formation," I shouted, trying to gather the remaining fighters. My voice wavered with urgency. "We flank them and push back. Stay together." As I fought, each blow I landed was fueled by the fear of losing Emily as well. I was caught in the storm of violence, my heart split between protecting my pack and worrying about her well-being. Then, amidst the chaos, there she was. Emily stood at the outskirts of the battle. Her once beige dress now stained and tattered. But her stance was fierce. She surged forward, shifting into her wolf form, Arya. It was a breathtaking sight. Power, radiating from her form even in the midst of the commotion. "What are you doing here?" I yelled, shoving aside a rogue to close the distance. "I told you to get to safety." "Surprised?" she shouted back, laughter bubbling in her voice as she joined the battle. "It'd never leave you behind." Frustration mixed with pride surged within me as I fought alongside her. Our movements flowed seamlessly. It was like we were reading each other's minds. "Get to the left," I directed, my heart racing. "We need to flank them." She surged forward, shifting into her wolf form, Arya. It was a breathtaking sight. Power radiating from her form even in the midst of the commotion. As we battled, the bond between us felt electric. Each dodge, each punch brought us closer, carving a path through the chaos together. There was something liberating in that moment. United in purpose. My heart uplifted by the reassurance that we had each other. When the clash finally quieted, a heavy stillness settled in. I surveyed the battlefield, the adrenaline still coursing through me. But the weight of our reality pressed down hard. "Emily." I stepped closer, looking her over, checking for any injuries, thankful there was none, just a few scrapes. Searching her eyes, feeling the gravity of everything left unsaid between us. "When all of this is over, I want to make you my chosen mate." Her surprise was evident. The moment suspended in time until the sound of our pack's victory howled through the air, like a wave crashing against the shore. "Lucas." Liam's voice broke through the moment, pulling my attention to him as he approached with a look of concern etched on his face. "Did you see Lucas? Did he not fight?" Liam exclaimed, the distress evident in his voice. "He was with Ashley," Noah confirmed. "They were heading for the bunker. But he couldn't shift. He didn't know what to do." A wave of disappointment hit me like a cold gust of wind. Lucas had always been brave. I stepped toward Liam, placing a gentle hand on his arm. "He's still one of us, Liam. Everyone has fears. But hiding doesn't make you weak. It's how we rise above them that counts." Liam's shoulders eased just a bit as he processed my words, a moment of understanding showing in his eyes. "You're right. When did you become so wise?" I turned my focus back to my pack. Battle-worn yet alive. Each one ready to face whatever was next. Even amidst the chaos, Emily's presence assured me with hope. And I felt a rush of determination stirring in my chest. Resolutely, we began the sober task of clearing the battlefield, preparing a dignified farewell for those who had fought proudly for their packs. We set fire to the rogue bodies. As the flames danced in the night, we made our way to the bunker, needing to check on those who had taken refuge inside, especially the women and children. Inside, we discovered Lucas at last. He sat frozen, pale and detached from the world around him. Ashley knelt beside him, worry etched across her features as she tried to stir him. "Someone call for a doctor," I called out, urgency echoing in my voice as I prepared for the worst. Shortly after, Dr. Theo arrived. He approached Lucas with careful attention, working to bring him out of the haze. As we waited, I felt time stretch, tense with uncertainty. Finally, Lucas blinked, his eyes flickering with confusion as his gaze settled on Dr. Theo. "What's happening to him?" Liam pressed, stepping closer. Anxiety etched on his face. Dr. Theo took a deep breath before responding. "He seems to be losing his wolf." "What do you mean?" Liam's voice trembled as he struggled to process the gravity of the situation. "His bond with the mated she-wolf he claimed, I assume, is not his true mate," Theo explained gently. "His wolf is rejecting her. And if this continues, he risks losing that part of himself entirely." My heart dropped as I watched Lucas. His eyes filled with helplessness. The weight of unspoken fears tensed the room. "How do we get his wolf back?" Liam asked, urgency spilling over in his voice. "Finding his true mate and begging for her forgiveness is the only way," Dr. Theo said, the seriousness in his tone suffocating the air. "If the moon goddess is willing, she may grant him a second chance. Only if the true mate rejects him." Lucas turned to Emily, his eyes filled with regret. That told me he was wrestling with something deep inside him. Emily, on the other hand, I wouldn't face him. She turned her head away, as if trying to shield herself from the weight of the moment. I felt a wave of helplessness wash over me. What could I possibly say to help him reclaim what he had lost through his own stupidity? And here I was, standing at the edge of a difficult choice, determined not to give up on Emily. If only she could see the possibility of something between us. After Dr. Theo's words echoed in my mind, a heavy weight settled on my shoulders. I couldn't shake the worry I felt for Lucas. How was he supposed to find his true mate before it was too late? The thought gnawed at me, making me question the very fabric of our pack. Here I was, struggling with the idea of having a beta without a wolf. Just as I began to spiral into my own thoughts, Ryder, my wolf, broke through. "Liam," he said, his voice gruff. "Lucas is a fool for choosing a mate who is not his true match." "I know," I sighed, rubbing the back of my neck. I genuinely don't understand what he was thinking. It's like he just threw away something irreplaceable. More like he threw himself into a pit. Ryder replied, anger simmering beneath his calm exterior. How will he ever find his true mate if he's settled for less? What happens if he loses her? Axel will be the cost. I closed my eyes briefly, trying to settle the frustration bubbling within me. I'm at a loss. I have no idea where to begin. Maybe I should just talk to him first. Sounds like a plan, Ryder said, the tension in his voice easing slightly. As I walked toward Lucas and Ashley's room, the sudden eruption of raised voices halted my steps. What are we going to do? Lucas. Ashley's voice rang out, sharp and panic-stricken. I can't even comprehend this. If it weren't for you, I'd be with my mate right now. This is all your fault, he shouted. Lucas' voice trembled as his next words. You think I wanted this? You think I didn't care? You were so consumed by your anger that you didn't even think of your true mate. I was a fool for letting her slip through my fingers. And now look at us. I should have claimed her the night she shifted. I should have done it. And now I'm left hoping that Emily will forgive me. Emily. My heart raced at the sound of my sister's name. I pushed the door open without a second thought. Did you just say Emily? I demanded. My voice coming out sharper than intended. Luca's startled expression mirrored my own shock. As if he'd seen a ghost. What the hell are you saying about my sister? After we dealt with the rogue threat. My heart felt heavy as we made our way to the bunker. Attending to those in need. The chaotic scene left many faces weary and frightened. Their stories echoing the strength of our packs. Among all of this, Lucas and Ashley's drama added another layer of stress. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of sympathy for Axel. He didn't deserve to be caught in the middle of all this conflict. Why in the world had the moon goddess give him with a stupid human like Lucas? Noah and I decided to regroup after cleaning up all the mess. As we walked toward our rooms, talk of the earlier chaos lingered in the air. I needed to shake off the heaviness of the day. After a long shower, I felt the grime wash away, leaving me refreshed. I slipped into a pair of cycling shorts and a tank top, feeling more at ease. When I opened the bathroom door, the weight of the day still clung to me. But I was eager to find Noah and talk things through. We headed back to his room. An unspoken tension hung between us as we settled onto the edge of his bed. Hey. About earlier. I began. My voice steady but cautious. Are you really sure you want this? What about your true mate? She's still somewhere out there. Right. I don't want to be a homewrecker. Noah let out a soft sigh. And I could see the conflict in his eyes. Well. There's something you should know. My true mate. She died a long time ago. Before I even had the chance to meet her. Confusion swept over me. How do you know? I asked, struggling to wrap my head around what he was saying. I felt it, he said simply. His voice heavy with a sense of loss that hung in the air like an unwelcome guest. You just know when it happens. It tears a part of your soul away. I never had the opportunity to find her. To even learn her name. Just the reality that she was gone. It's something I've learned to live with. Even if it still hurts. Wow. I whispered. Taken aback by the weight of his feelings. I had no idea. That's so tragic. I shook my head, trying to process the revelation. But Noah, that's not what I want for us. I just don't want to step into a role that doesn't feel right. Emily. It's not like that. He said softly, taking my hand in his. The warmth grounding me. You didn't make me feel this way, this is just how things unfolded. I don't want you to feel burdened by my past. I want to know you. To build something with you. Something solid. I met his gaze. And for the first time, I saw a flicker of hope behind the sadness, a chance for something real. Okay. I said. A smile forming across my lips despite the heaviness lurking in my heart. Then let's take it one step at a time. I think we can find a way through this madness together. Just. Let's be ourselves. Deal. He replied. His tone lightening a bit. Now. How about we plan our escape from this chaos? I know there's a pizza place nearby we could try. Pizza sounds perfect. I laughed, feeling a wave of gratitude for this moment. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way to work my way through this tangled mess of life after all. I could carve out a fresh start with a new pack and a new mate. My second chance perhaps. Noah led me to this enchanting little cafe called Olive Branch. And I immediately fell in love with it. The moment we walked in, the warm, inviting atmosphere wrapped around me like a cozy blanket. The wooden tables were beautifully worn, each one telling its own story, while the rustic wicker seats somehow made the place feel both casual and intimate. Framed photographs from years gone by adorned the walls, capturing moments that made the cafe feel alive with history. When I took my first bite of their pepperoni pizza, a wave of happiness washed over me. The crust was perfectly crispy, and the cheese was gooey and rich, melting in my mouth, while the pepperoni added just the right amount of spice. I couldn't help but smile. Noah had been absolutely right. This was indeed the best pizza in town. The lively atmosphere buzzed around us, filled with the sounds of laughter and cheerful conversations. Sun rays beamed through the large windows, creating a warm glow that covered the cafe in a soft light. It felt like the perfect day for a lovely outing, and I couldn't have asked for better company. I opted for an iced coffee, craving something refreshing. And to my delight, Noah chose the same. He shot me that playful grin, the one that sent butterflies fluttering in my stomach. Every single time. It was moments like these, filled with laughter and good food, that blurred my worries, even if it's only for a little while. As we dug into that delicious pizza, I could feel the walls I had spent so long building around myself slowly crumbling. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, filled with laughter and at times comfortable silence that felt as natural as breathing. Each shared story felt like a thread pulling us closer together. We had both agreed to give this mate bond a real shot, and I couldn't deny the visible chemistry between us. There was something in Noah's gaze. His eyes radiated warmth and understanding that made me feel truly seen, truly appreciated. But as our lovely afternoon began to fade into evening, reality tugged at my heart with a gentle but insistent pull. With our fingers intertwined, we strolled back toward the castle. Yet the picturesque path seemed to morph into something more forbidding with each step we took. Just as we neared the east wing, sudden shouts and guttural growls shattered the peaceful aura, jolting me from my trance. My heart lurched and began to race as urgency flooded my veins. And we quickened our pace, anxiety creeping in as we approached the chaotic scene. "What the hell were you saying about my sister?" I yelled at Lucas, my voice laced with fury. The moment I saw him, his face was pale, as if he had seen a ghost. I felt my anger boil over. They were talking about Emily, and I wouldn't stand for that. "Liam. He stammered, his gaze flickering away as he struggled to find the right words. Whatever he was about to say, I sensed it was serious, and it made my stomach sink. "Spit it out. Lucas. What have you done?" I pressed, frustration coursing through me as I braced myself for what was to come. Well," he finally managed, his eyes dropping to the ground. "I knew my mate before Ashley and I mated." "Come again," I replied, my thoughts racing. It felt like the world around me had just shifted. He seemed to be honest with me. He faltered, sounding almost pitiful. I knew the moment Emily shifted for the first time. She even gave me a chance to break things off with Ashley. But you chose Ashley over your true mate. You did reject her, right? I asked. About that, I didn't exactly reject her. He trailed off, his voice barely above a whisper. It felt like the air had been knocked out of my lungs. Are you kidding me, Lucas? So, every time you and Ashley were together, my sister had to suffer through that alone. Disappointment mingled with rage as I tried to make sense of what had just said. Lucas, I expected better from you, I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. How could you let Emily go through this alone? Why didn't she come to me? A wave of hurt crashed over me. Not just for myself but for Emily. How could she keep something like this from me? I was her brother. I would have moved mountains to help her. When I finally approached the scene, I immediately noticed Liam. His face contorted with anger, while Lucas looked utterly defeated. My stomach twisted with concern. What's going on? Why were you shouting, Liam? I asked, my voice calm despite the turmoil swirling inside. Why, Emily? Why didn't you tell me any of this? He fumed, his voice filled with brotherly concern. I would have done anything to help you. Instead of confiding in me, you chose to hide everything and suffer in silence. Caught off guard, I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes. Liam. Emily. He interrupted, his expression shifting to one of understanding tinged with pain. I know everything. Lucas told me everything. I'm so sorry, Liam. I blurted out, my chest tightening. I didn't know how to bring it up. I was ashamed, scared. But I wasn't entirely alone. Alpha Noah has been here for me. When I mentioned Noah, I saw a flicker of surprise cross Liam's face before he turned his attention toward Noah, who had been watching silently. Ah, Alpha Noah. I can't thank you enough for being there for my sister. I just wish she had confided in me. He looked me in my eyes when he said the last part, seeming disappointed. Noah gave a reassuring nod, his gentle demeanor grounding everyone in the midst of the chaos. It was my pleasure, Alpha Liam, he said, his voice steady. Emily has shown incredible strength, and I'm happy to be by her side. Once everything settles down, I'd really like for us to sit down and talk openly. With the sun beginning to set, casting a golden hue around us, I could feel hope glimmering beneath the tension. We all retreated to our rooms to calm down and think everything over before we all meet again in the morning. As Noah and I reached the door to his room, a flutter of nerves kicked in. This would be the first time we shared a space as chosen mates, and I wasn't quite sure what to expect. Noah stepped into the bathroom for a shower while I got ready for bed. Feeling utterly drained from the whirlwind of events, I opted for one of Noah's t-shirts to sleep in since I didn't have the energy to rummage through my bag for pajamas. When he emerged a few minutes later, towel wrapped snugly around his waist, I couldn't help but let my eyes wander. He was quite a sight. Muscles defined and a confident stance that made my cheeks turn pink. Like what you see, he teased, raising an eyebrow with that signature smirk of his. My heart raced, and I turned my head shyly, unable to maintain eye contact. No need to be shy. Love. This is all yours now that we're mates. I'll have you beneath me before you know it, he added, a playful glint in his eye that sent my face into a deeper shade of red. In just his boxer shorts, he climbed into bed, pulling me into his warm embrace. We settled into each other's arms, and before long, sleep gently enveloped us both. The next morning, I stirred, feeling unusually warm and strangely stiff. As I opened my eyes, I realized I was sprawled across Noah's chest, his arms wrapped snugly around my waist. I gazed at his sleeping face, feeling a wave of affection wash over me. My fingers traced the outline of his nose, and then explored the softness of his lips. Suddenly, he stirred, cracking one eye open, and in a swift move, he flipped us over, hovering above me, his gaze intense. This is a lovely sight to wake up to, he said with a sleepy smile that made my heart skip a beat. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks again as he leaned down, capturing my lips with a kiss that was bittersweet in its passion. Time seemed to stand still as I melted into the moment until we finally pulled away to catch our breath. We should probably get ready for the day, I whispered, still a little dazed. As I swung my legs over the side of the bed, I suddenly realized I hadn't grabbed any clothes to change into. After a quick shower, I slipped back into another of Noah's shirts, much to my growing embarrassment. We headed to my room to find my clothes before making our way to breakfast together.